Hey everybody, welcome back to Resident Evil channel. Alright you guys, so today we're going to be talking about the new HBO series that just came out and how excited we all are. Oh my gosh. Okay, no, I don't think anyone's really that excited for this new series because I think the movies hold such a near and dear place to all of our hearts because, you know, the movies were coming out around the same time. The books still hadn't even been finished writing yet. So it was just kind of like this perfect immersion of like book and like fake and, you know, movie world, like where you just kind of, I mean, and I know some people aren't a big fan of the movies because they're not as die and true to the books themselves, but it's something that we can kind of be okay with. And I think another thing is like I still think that it's just too soon. Granted, the last movie, Deathly Hallows Part 2, came out in 2011. I thought that was like 2015. I was so wrong. I just looked it up. I was like, okay. But I still think it's too soon. I still think they could have waited like at least another 20 years before even doing another remake. Just because it's just, you don't really need it. You know, that's how I feel. But because the boulder has already started going down, because we just can't really do anything about it right now, here are some stuff that I really need them to be in this series for me to even just be like, okay, fine, we're doing this. First things first, I don't know who's in charge. Like, I really don't know who would be in charge of the series or whatever, whoever they ultimately decide. I need them to hold the Harry Potter books. Like, I need them to clutch them. I need their Harry Potter book copies to just be, like, written, annotated, like, pretty much destroy. The spine better not be intact because that's how closely they are following the story. Because I think the biggest issue with a lot of people with their Harry Potter books, and even myself sometimes, is that there was just some stuff that were in the books that were not in the movies, and that sometimes you were just lost. So here we go. Let's do a list. All right. So my first thing that I really need them to really dive into is the backstory of Voldemort. There's some stuff about his mom that we just don't really like. You don't know anything about his mom, about how she falls in love with like a Muggle, about the Gaunt family. We don't delve into that world in the movie, so you don't understand why he has such a hatred for like Muggle-borns and like Half-Bloods and everything he does. You don't understand what that is and why he kind of becomes so evil. They just have this one weird scene with him and Dumbledore about like, oh, I can hurt them, like the things that I can do, like like those type of things, which I'm like, it's not enough. You really need to understand the full backstory of his mother to understand to how he became who he did. Like his disdain and everything. And then going on that, you also understand why he selected the Horcrux that he selected. Like, I don't think we ever really learned in the movies why he chose the ring that he did. Like, you know, and a lot of people, I remember, like, was so interesting because I had friends who didn't read the books and were kind of confused during the movies, and I'm like, why are you so confused? And I'm like, oh, I have the foresight of, like, the books. They actually explain certain things for me, so I didn't have those questions. I fill those blanks in naturally without having to. So pretty much the main antagonist, the main villain, we don't understand why he's doing what he's doing, what his thought process is, and everything, because essentially they don't put that in the movie. So I'm like, if you're gonna do a whole series where you're gonna expand the world, let's put that in there. The Horcrux and I guess Riddle are my top priorities. Other stuff I guess would have to be just more details about like certain moments in like Harry's life, like when he's like the realization of like the backstory of Dumbledore. I think that was such a key moment. We get this one beautiful moment with Aberforth like essentially telling Harry,
I trusted him.
That's a boy's answer. A boy who goes chasing Horcruxes on the word of a man who wouldn't even tell him where to start. You're lying. Not just to me, that doesn't matter. To yourself as well. That's what a fool does. You don't strike me as a fool, Harry Potter. So I'll ask you again. There must be a reason.
I'm not interested in what happened between you and your brother. I don't care that you've given up.
and then when that happens, you're just kind of like, and it's beautiful. I just wish we would have gotten more of Aberforth. I wish we would have gotten more of that, like backstory, and you understand what happens, and you get that from the books. So we don't really know that. Another thing that I would have really loved is the fact that the role of Dobby, like, you know, when Dobby again in the movies when he passed away, it hurts, but it hurts a lot more in the books because ever since the second book, Dobby has been part of his story, helping him out, being a friend, just being everything that he can be for Harry, and that also translates into Spew and Hermione, because later on we find out with the Cursed Child, which is the book that true Harry Potter fans we don't talk about. I think it gives us a glimpse into the potential prime minister, minister of magic that Hermione could become, because she then becomes like, I'm a huge, like, she creates spew and wants to liberate the house elves, and does everything all thanks to Dobby and the treatment and things like that. And then you also see like how he deals with Winky and Creature and just like all of this stuff, and it's just beautiful, and it gives a little bit more backstory to who Dobby is. So I really want more of that. Another thing that would be really cool that's weirdly enough not as like talked about as much in the books, we do get talk about it, but not as much, is the relationship between like James, Lupin, Sirius, and Wormtail. Like everyone's like, we should have gotten a Marauder series, and I'm like, I completely agree. I think a Marauder series would have been beautiful, and I think none of us would have been upset about recasting, just because again, I think that the Harry Potter movies did a beautiful job of casting. Not only did I love like Rupert Daniel and Emma, I love like who they cast as Snape, McGonagall, the first Dumbledore. Draco, all of these people were like, oh, Bellatrix. Honestly, they could not have picked a better Bellatrix. Like, oh my gosh, she was so evil and so beautiful and so majestic that I just like fell in love with that Bellatrix. Like, yeah, so great. And a Marauders series, just like, it just seemed a beautiful tie-in to the legend of the story, but we do get hints about that relationship, why he's so close to Lupin. And I think getting a bigger backstory about his dad and like his friendship, it will really emphasize the death of Sirius, because I remember reading that in the books and I was destroyed, and then seeing that in the movies, I'm still like, to be honest, it's like, if you're asking me what's one of the saddest deaths besides like Dobby and Hedwig, I think the third one would have to be Sirius. And yes, maybe counting the twins in that, no, it's so hard. And then going back into like why we need more Marauders things, we also learned that Remus is like, gives Harry, like, is godfather to like Harry is godfather to Remus and Tonks' kids. Like, and then you delve into the relationship of him and Tonks and why like his werewolf like status was in there. And it also explains why, because a lot of people I think a question like, why didn't Lupin like go save Harry from Dursleys? I'm like, yeah, because he was terrified of who he was, and the people who really like held him down and like really like kind of embraced his werewolfness was James and Sirius, who Sirius is in Azkaban, and then James is dead, so he's really left alone in the world, and of course he's not going to be able to take care of an infant at all. So I think that really like explains it a lot better, getting to know all those like little details. It connect, like as I'm just talking, I'm like, it's all connecting, and why I need more details. And of course you also get a little bit more understanding of like the animosity that Severus has with James, even though we do get enough of that in the movie, so I will give him that pro. Like, you understand why Severus is so like upset at Harry and like his animosity towards him. And I know some people are like, well, no, the sins of the father shouldn't affect the son. And I'm like, but think about it. A lot of people say that Harry looks almost exactly like James, except for the eyes, I know. And he does also have like the arrogance of his father. Like, he is a lot like his dad. So of course he's going to be triggered by the bully, essentially like seeing the reincarnation of his like childhood bully. I mean, I understand. Like, I get it. Now another person that they don't delve into, one is Charlie. We never see Charlie in the Harry Potter movies. Wait, is it Charlie? Yes, because we do see Bill. Bill's the one who marries Fleur. I was like, wait, hold on. And then we also don't understand the estrangement of Molly, of like Percy from the whole Weasley gang, and we don't really understand, like, he's so different from all the other Weasleys, right? So when he's one of the people that doesn't believe Harry, it's like this big thing. He has a huge fight with his parents, he disassociates with them, and then when he kind of comes back, oh my gosh, I remember reading that in the books, like he comes back and then unfortunately, oh, he died, oh gosh, one of the twins died. Like, it's just like, okay, I keep saying one of the twins because I keep forgetting, it's like either Fred or George. I always like kind of mix them up, and I know even their mom mixed them up, okay? So I feel like I should be given a pass right here. But I just love the fact that he's there standing, like he gets reunited with the twins, and then one of the twins dies in front of him. Like, oh my gosh, I remember reading, sorry, I'm just like reliving it. You see the trauma? See, if they're gonna do this Harry Potter series, they better do it right. Like, all of these things better come back. So one of them definitely has to be that. Going to the Weasleys, I think also, honestly, better writing for Ginny. Because Book Ginny is awesome. Like, you really get, like, Book Ginny is great, and you understand why Harry then ultimately falls for her. You're like, oh, okay, it makes perfect sense. And their little friendship develops a little bit more naturally. I think that makes a little bit more sense than it does with like movie Ginny. the shoe. Let's not even get started on the shoelace thing. I really like the first time they get together, how like raw, like the pygmy puff scene. Honestly, you know what I need? I need the pygmy puff scene where it's like I told them, everyone's asking me if you have a pygmy puff on your chest, but it's actually, I tell them it's a Hungarian horntail. And it's just like, they even added this moment into the movies.
I knew Ginny was lying about that tattoo.
And you don't understand why, because they never explain it, right? You just like, ah. Another plot that I completely forgot about was Neville Longbottom being the chosen one. Because the thing is, Neville and Harry, they're born in the same month in July, just different dates. And and Voldemort didn't know which of them was the, like, actually, I don't think he knew about Neville's existence. He just knew about Harry. He just assumed it was Harry. Harry was the chosen one. So essentially, Voldemort picked his chosen one. That's what he does. And so you later find out how close of a similar life that, Neville and Harry has, and how ultimately it was Voldemort's choice that decided who the chosen one was, which is just such a fascinating theory. You find out that his parents are in the St. Mungus hospital and that they lost their minds. I'm like, oh my gosh. It's like when you realize it, that it's like, was it fate? Was it destiny that chose Harry? Or was it just some random kind of luck? And that's why I always correlate that's why, okay, so another thing that I feel like people judge Harry on, like, oh, well, Harry's the chosen one, but then he becomes this ordinary wizard, and I'm like, wait, hold on, back up. I'm like, there's the famous Shakespeare quote of some people are born great, some people are made great, and some have greatness thrusted upon them. I'm like, exactly. Harry never wanted to be this great wizard. Unfortunately, he wanted to be normal, but he was kind of thrusted into greatness, and he did what he had to do, and he became everything that I think we all want to become. When if push came to shove and we needed to do something like that, we all want to believe that we have the courage and the bravery to actually get to that point in our to do what needs to be done. But how many of us can do that? That's what makes Harry so extraordinary. It's not the fact that he's the smartest wizard, or the most skilled wizard of his age, or anything like that. That could be Hermione, but he's just simply just Harry. And that's what I love about it. I think this is why I find him such a compelling hero. I really, really do. Backstories that we never got, I feel another one had to be Barty Crouch Jr. When they're damn, sent poor Barty Crouch to nearly drove him mad because he sent his own son into Azkaban. I'm like, he did, but then he also helps break him out of Azkaban. And what his mom, oh my gosh, we never got that in the movies. That was such a great subplot. It was so, and then of course we never get that kind of reaction from Harry. He has this inner monologue. He's like, it's weird that I feel I spent a whole year with Mad Eye, but then it wasn't really Mad Eye, it was Barty Crouch Jr. And so it's kind of this interesting thing as you're reading. You're like, yeah, that wasn't Mad Eye. I mean, I feel I could just go on and on and on and on. But these are the main ones that I kind of really want. This video can't last forever. I think I'm going to end it on this note. Which one I think we all want? I think we all want the full backstory of Ariana Dumbledore, kind of how her death happened, and essentially his relationship with Grindelwald. I mean, I know we kind of touch upon it in Fantastic Beasts, but it wasn't enough just to kind of see the tragedy of what becomes of Dumbledore, essentially how he stops his quest for power and how he still fears his desire for power. He's like, I don't want to ever be, and he's like, that's the and I think that's one of the things that it really admires about Harry, is the fact that Harry's always been in this kind of position of power that he's always kind of dreamed of. And eventually, Harry does unite the Deathly Hallows, but he's like, if I were to even get close to that, I would become a menace. And I think we never delved into that character of Dumbledore, and just honestly, I really did enjoy Dumbledore. I know Dumbledore gets a lot of hate. I get it. I get the hate for Dumbledore. Okay, but I also really enjoyed him. I don't know. Again, these are just the few ones that that are just coming to my mind. I'm like, what do I want from the series? So my question to you is, what are the ones that you feel are missing, that you're I really need them to be in the series, that weren't? I know there's probably other subplots in here that you're that I know I'm missing. I know I'm forgetting, and now I feel I need to reread these books, and gosh, I have so many books to read. I can't go back to rereading them. Anyways, let's go back to rereading these books. Just Mr. and Miss Dearly of number 4 Private Drive. All right. So thank you so much for watching Resident Evil channel. All right. Leave a comment down below. Bye.